never felt so quiet. The wind moved slowly through the empty streets, pushing dust across abandoned wooden porches. Saloon doors creaked without being touched. Somewhere in the distance, a metal sign tapped softly against its chain. The town was holding its breath. Under a half-broken moon, near the old cemetery on Widow's Hill, a lone figure stood motionless. A long black coat, a silver star badge, eyes glowing like blue fire in the dark. He was no ordinary lawman. He was the Ghost Sheriff, once a man of flesh and blood, now something more, something eternal. He could feel it. Darkness was rising again, and this time it wasn't just bandits or outlaws. It was an empire. 3 nights later, the first sign appeared. Black smoke on the horizon. At first the townsfolk thought it was a wildfire. It wasn't. It was riders, 50 of them, dressed in black dusters, silver masks covering their faces, each horse marked with a strange burned symbol, a rising sun painted in blood red. Children were pulled inside homes. Windows were shuttered. Guns were loaded. The riders entered town without firing a single shot. Their leader dismounted slowly. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a long crimson coat. On his chest burned the symbol of the black sun. He removed his gloves. Red Canyon now belongs, he said calmly, to the last empire. A man stepped forward, old Mayor Dalton. You don't own this town, the mayor said. The crimson-coated man smiled. No, he replied softly, but fear does. He snapped his fingers. A shot rang out. The mayor fell. And just like that, the empire announced itself. That night, the temperature dropped. The riders celebrated in the saloon. They laughed. They drank. They marked buildings with the black sun symbol. Then the lamps flickered. One by one, they went out. Wind burst through the saloon doors. The laughter stopped. Footsteps echoed, slow, heavy, unnatural. A rider turned. What the? The first man flew across the room without being touched. Another reached for his gun. Too late. A blur of black coat. A flash of silver light. The Ghost Sheriff had returned. Bullets passed through him like smoke. But when he fired, his revolver burned blue. Each shot struck with supernatural force. The riders panicked. This isn't a man, one screamed. No, it wasn't. Within minutes, the saloon was silent. Only the crimson-coated leader remained standing in the doorway. He did not look afraid. He looked interested. So, the man said slowly, the legend is true. The Ghost Sheriff stared at him. Leave this town. The crimson man smiled. No. And for the first time in years, the Ghost Sheriff felt something he had not felt since his death. Resistance. The crimson leader drew his weapon. It wasn't a normal revolver. Its metal was dark as coal, its barrel engraved with ancient markings. He fired. The bullet did not pass through the Ghost Sheriff. It hit, and the sheriff staggered back. The town gasped. The crimson man laughed. You are not the only thing that survived death. He removed his mask. His face was pale, scarred, eyes glowing faintly red. My name, he said, is Victor Kane. The Ghost Sheriff recognized him. Kane had been executed 10 years ago, hanged for slaughtering an entire mining camp. Yet here he stood, alive, or something close to it. You made a deal, the sheriff said quietly. Kane smiled wider. I made an empire. After the fall of Victor Kane and the Black Sun Empire, the frontier believed peace had finally returned. Towns rebuilt their streets. Railroads ran again. Children played in dusty alleys without fear. But the desert never stays quiet forever. One night, far beyond the frontier, a massive storm formed over the Deadlands, a place no map dared to mark. Lightning struck the ground again and again. From the smoke, an army began to rise. Not outlaws, not soldiers, something far worse. An ancient order known as the Eternal Dominion. They had watched the frontier for decades, waiting, preparing, and now they were ready to conquer everything. Across the western lands, towns began to fall, not from gunfights, but from shadows. Entire settlements vanished overnight. Railroad trains were found abandoned, cattle herds scattered across empty plains, and everywhere the same symbol appeared burned into wood and stone, a black crown surrounded by fire. The mark of the Eternal Dominion. Only one name spread across the terrified frontier. In a quiet desert valley, a lone rider moved across the horizon. His coat drifted like a shadow in the wind. His silver badge reflected the rising sun. The Ghost Sheriff had never truly left. He had only been waiting for the next war. And this war would be bigger than anything the frontier had ever seen. Because the Eternal Dominion didn't want one town. They wanted the entire West. The Ghost Sheriff, old allies began to return. The legendary sharpshooter who once saved Red Canyon. The former outlaw king who became a protector of the frontier. A new generation of marshals inspired by the Ghost Sheriff. Together they formed a force known as the Frontier Guard. But their enemy was ancient. The Eternal Dominion had hidden fortresses in the mountains, armies beneath abandoned mines, dark knowledge older than the Wild West itself. The coming war would decide the fate of the frontier forever.